Today at the Bridge is brought to you by
Sacrifice. Hello and welcome to another installment of Today at the Bridge Auxiliary.
Auxiliary.
Auxiliary, yes.
Yeah.
Aux, as it
Aux.
was.
I thought you wanted me. I didn't know you wanted me to say something special there.
I didn't really,
You
but I heard your mouth open.
It's sticky today.
I heard the mouth open, and I thought there were words, so I didn't want to cut you off. I was trying to be considerate.
Thank you.
To you.
I am a fish. I breathe through my mouth, so I'm a mouth breather. So I gotta open it
Your
to
mouth.
take in.
You should watch Stranger Things. Not a sponsor. All right. So we actually had a guest speaker this week, somebody that we all know and love, and Tim knows him very well because it's his uncle.
My fearless uncle.
Uncal?
Yeah.
Uncal. Is that the opposite of like Clark
Uncles
Kent?
are they're the opposite of calendars. They're uncals.
Uncals. You just never know what they're going to show. You're just going to pop in. You're going to pop in. You never know. Uncals.
But my uncle, Pastor Ed Trinkle, from Warehouse Church in Texas.
Warehouse.
He came up to preach. What was really interesting is that usually when a guest speaker comes, they'll call the lead pastor and say, hey, what are you preaching on? What's going on? And then the lead pastor would normally not expect them to follow the current teaching plan they're on, but give them a general, this is kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And right now as a church, we're walking through the book of Matthew with their sermon series title of Unexpected, because what Jesus did was totally unexpected. No one expected him to be what he ended up becoming, which ended up working out great for us and everybody really. But Pastor Ed called and asked, and Pastor Aaron gave him a general idea. And then he came and he spoke in Matthew, which was really cool.
He jumped 10 chapters ahead.
Yes, so it was like a prequel.
Actually, what's great is that
it's
it's like a prequel sequel.
It was a preview of the sequel.
It was Phantom Menace, but better.
Phantom Menace minus Jar Jar Binks, plot holes, and bad acting.
Yeah. And added a Trinkle. It was one extra Trinkle. It was it had +1 Trinkle abilities.
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say as well, because our sermon series is really going through the first 8 chapters of Matthew, and he went to Matthew 14. So he actually was he was more like the Last Jedi. It was like a past.
Can we stop with the Star Wars?
Okay.
It's not working.
I really want it to work. So. The thing is, though, I have a hard time sometimes believing guest pastors when they come in.
Well, yeah, because you don't know them from
I don't know them from Adam,
From Diddley.
or the fact that he may have been my youth pastor for a little bit, and also the pastor of my
which
church
is just
before.
more reason not to trust him.
Exactly.
Youth pastors are crazy.
Youth pastors are crazy.
They are insane.
So I consulted my own pastor, Dr. Miriam Webster. About the terminology all in, which is what the sermon series was about, or his sermon was on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so here's what we thought we would do today is Tim, I'm going to read you a couple of definitions.
Okay.
From my Dr. Miriam.
Okay. Yeah, Dr. Miriam.
Dr. Miriam.
I just want to go on a disclaimer. Getting theology from Merriam-Webster is kind of like going on WebMD to figure out what's wrong with you, but worse.
But way worse. So I'm going to read you some definitions.
Okay, what do you got?
About all in, and then we're going to equate that really to bring it back in to the Bible and to the idea of following after Christ. Yeah. Because remember, the whole point of these videos is, remember our jingle? Ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. Ready?
Yeah.
Practical application of biblical concepts. Do. Woo!
I was less committed, but I still was there with you.
Really were.
Oh, I kind of forgot because the jingle messed me up.
Yeah.
Because you were playing a C there instead of a G.
Well, I don't play piano or instruments at all. Remember, you're the musician. I just make hand gestures.
I was like, I'm going to be.
I just do this. I dip my fingers into the water of musicality.
My little fingies.
All right.
Sorry.
Tim, here's our first definition from Dr. Miriam.
Okay, what do you got?
And this one actually has a disclaimer, so this is chiefly British.
It's chiefly?
Chiefly British, which
Hush.
I am not going to say it in a British accent because I don't want to offend Josh Bell or any of the people he's going to minister to
Yeah, don't
in
do
London.
that.
So it is described as this, chiefly British, as being almost without restrictions. The example they give is all-in wrestling, which I don't know what that is, but I imagine it's.
Don't look that up.
I'm gonna assume. I'm just gonna assume it's like a table, ladder, or chairs match in WWE because
It's like WWE, but it's not scripted.
Exactly, because there's almost no restrictions. Like because when you have a table and a chair and they're with you and a ladder or a TLC, as it were, there's almost no restrictions, and that's what I would imagine all in wrestling is.
Yeah.
So Tim, how would this definition of all in equate to how we should be living our spiritual lives?
So it's funny you ask that because Jesus spoke on that a little bit. Jesus spoke in going all in. And just because we're going to ride with the theme, we're going to be in the book of Matthew,
Okay.
chapter 19, verse 16. So this is kind of a story. So let me read this. It says, "And behold, a man came up to him saying, 'Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life?'" So a man walks up to Jesus, refers to him as teacher, and says, "What do I have to do to live forever? What do I have to do to achieve this eternal life that you've been talking
Okay.
about?" And Jesus said to him, "Why do you ask me what is good? There is only one who is good. If you would enter life, keep the commandments." And he said to him, "Which ones?" And Jesus said, "You should not murder, should not commit adultery, shouldn't steal, you shouldn't bear false witness, you should honor your mother and your father, you should love your neighbors yourself." The young said to him, all of these I've kept. What do I still lack?" And Jesus said to him, "If you would be perfect, go, sell what you possess, and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Come, follow me." And when the young man heard this, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. So he had, like, "Jesus, what do I do?" And Jesus says, "Well, keep my commandments." And he went back to some of the 10 Commandments, said, "Do those things."
Right.
And I'm like, I got that. I can be a good person, but what do I really need? And Jesus said, "Well, go all in. Go and take everything you have and sell it and come follow me." Right. And what's cool is that like he comes in and Jesus he's described as a rich person. What do rich people normally have?
Things.
A lot of stuff. And that's not bad.
A lot of things.
That's not bad. There's nothing inherently wrong with having a lot of stuff.
Sure.
If I was rich,
if you're
I'm sure
a
I
rich
would have a lot
person
of
and a
stuff.
lot of stuff, and you're part of our church, tithe.
Yeah, but
Just saying.
yeah, but with that was what he had. I think we all have something different.
Right.
I think your thing might be cars. Like I know that's something that I struggle with. I want to have a lot of cars because cars are cool and they're interesting and I love racing them. Your thing might be different. I know for some people it's like phones. They're like getting a new phone every 6 months. Like some people
Right.
it's their time. A lot of people it's their time. And what Jesus is saying is that thing that you cherish more than me, give that away and then come follow me. That is what going all in is.
Because basically you're saying like, so an all in this coming out with almost without restrictions, be to take that stuff that's restricting you
Right.
from getting to Jesus
Yeah.
and push it aside.
And what I find really interesting here is it says, "And he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions." And I love how the ESV says that, given like how we talk in this 21st century.
Yeah.
Like he had great possessions, and I know like in the Bible it means like he had a lot of stuff, but it's cool because when you
Right.
actually read that as a 21st century English speaker, you think
Stuff was
he
quite
had
cool.
great stuff.
He had cool stuff.
He had cool stuff, and he had to get rid of it to be able to truly go all in and follow Christ. And I'm going to say it again: having stuff does not prohibit you from the kingdom of heaven.
No.
If you have stuff, don't feel like guilty, or even if you have stuff and you're smart, don't think that we're up here with like blasphemy. We get it. Like you can have stuff, and
Right.
and Jesus blesses us with stuff all the time. He's blessed me with stuff. That's not the issue. The issue is what is holding you back from going all in. Clearly, for this guy, Jesus knew his stuff is what was holding him back
the
from
thing
going all in.
restricting him, the keeping him from being able to be considered all in, was he was restricted by his things.
Yeah, and so what I would challenge you to do is today, or this week before the next video comes out, get down with a piece of paper, sit down with a piece of paper, and some honesty. You're going to need some honesty to do this exercise.
Right.
Sit down with a piece of paper and write down stuff it would hurt to get rid of. Even include your family. Like, if I could never see my mom again, if I could never see my dad again, write down stuff that would hurt, and then on that list of stuff, be really honest with yourself. Which one of these is seriously holding me back from going all in? And your family might even be that, not because they don't trust in Christ, but if God's calling you to missions, not seeing your family every Christmas is hard. Like we did that as a family. I remember when we were in Australia and we would do Thanksgiving. It was weird because no one knew what Thanksgiving was. So we were like the only people in the entire state of Victoria celebrating Thanksgiving.
Why are you off on Thursday?
Yeah, my parents had to explain it to my teachers. It was a whole thing. But it's hard. Is that preventing you from going all in? Is it your do you have a bunch of really cool stuff that you're making payments on, and your monthly payments bill is $1,000? Is that keeping you from going all in with Jesus financially? Do you have commitments? Are you a part of 18 sport leagues? Is that preventing you from going all in with your time and serving at church? And here's the thing, Zach. I think you'd agree when you sit down and you do an exercise like that, there's a little bit of that goes on. You're you feel punched in the.
You feel the pain starts right on here, and then it spreads both to the gut and the head.
Yeah,
and just kind of.
I lovingly want to encourage you to not run away from that. Lean into that, because when you lean into that and you trust God and you do what He asks, He rewards you greatly for that. And it might not be on this earth. You might not be able to tangibly touch it and feel it. You might not get more better stuff, but He still rewards you for that sacrifice and that gift to Him of what you've done. So do it. Give up a sport league. Cancel a subscription. Say no every once in a while to going out with your friends so you can serve at church. We're not calling you to do something crazy. We're calling you to do something that Jesus asked this guy to do that he couldn't do because his stuff was great.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. So the funny thing, that was one definition. There's still two more.
Oh dear.
But we're gonna do this really quickly though.
Okay.
Just because
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. Because you know why?
I got on a tangent.
But also, I feel because that was the first one that came up. I think that was the most important one, and it was British.
And you know what? The Flow Progressive is on this website, and she blocked the rest of them.
Exactly.
All right. What else we got?
So there are two different. We're going to put them together. Okay. I think they go together.
Yeah.
It's two definitions of being all in. One is tired, exhausted. Okay. Example of that is from Harper Lee.
Okay.
So some classic literature for you. Example is Atticus said as tactfully as he could that he just didn't think he could stand a pageant tonight. He was all in.
Okay, yeah.
And the next one is fully committed to or involved in something. As in, the Diamondbacks are all in for this year. It's why they brought in JD Martinez at the trade deadline. They have a healthy mix of young and veteran players, and they're looking to make a run this October. That was by our good friend Kevin Skyver.
Thank you,
Fan
Kevin.
of the show. Maybe.
Thanks,
Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
But so I think those two tie together. I want to see if you think what I'm thinking, how they tie together. Mm-hmm. And go.
So I think they tied together because both tired. He's tired and exhausted because he went all in.
Right.
When you go all in for Jesus, you're gonna get tired.
Right.
But He restores you. And then these guys were going all in. They were expecting to be tired at the end of October when they have the World Series trophy.
Right, and
the rings.
And they're able to be like, we are exactly. And I think the way that I think so, I kind of put them together too, is that you're tired, exhausted, you're all in, meaning that you spent yourself on everything.
Yeah.
Which means you went in without restrictions. Like your energy, your time, your motivation, all of it was pushed all in on the following after Christ.
Right.
And because of that, you are tired, you're exhausted, and it's because of that full commitment that we experience that.
Right.
So like I said, those were really quick because we spent a lot of time on living with almost no restrictions when it comes to following Christ, because I think that is probably the most important part,
right.
is realizing, because the thing in life that separates us most from God is a lot of times our own stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like sometimes we as people, we like to like push it aside and be like, no, well, if this guy didn't do that, or if this car didn't break down, we push all of our disconnect from God, from the church, and from people into external things, right? But realistically, if we take a step back and realize, how do I live all in, and realize that I have things in my life restricting myself,
Yeah.
that's when we're going to see that life change happen. And I'm not all in because I am living with restrictions in my life to being able to follow after Christ. So that's that. I guess, all that being said, Dr. Miriam and Pastor Ed agree on what it means to follow Jesus.
Yes.
And being obedient without
That's a coincidence.
That's a coincidence. Clearly coincidental.
And by Dr. Miriam, he means Merriam-Webster.com.
Merriam-Webster.com.
Just a disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
Also, they're not a sponsor.
Yeah.
Disclaimer too.
Yes, because we have no sponsors.
No.
Yet, unless you want to come join us.
Yep.
Long pause. I wanted to give him one of those. That was for the still shot.
But you will never see a, like, maybe shaving commercial. Anyway, just continue.
Anyway, we want to thank you for tuning in. And like I said, we want to encourage you. Go all in. Live a life without restrictions to following after Christ. So find those areas where there needs to be margin in your life to be able to follow Christ more fully, and marinate on those things, pray on those things, and find places where you can see where people are where things are holding you back, and work on that, right? So talk to a pastor, get involved in a church, talk to a brother in Christ, talk to somebody. We love you guys. We love being able to have these conversations and to talk to you about this. Here's what we're going to do. If you want to watch the sermon from Sunday with our good friend, Pastor Ed Trinkle, click on the video up on top. If you want to watch more videos like this from our conversations, click on the bottom video down below. And with that, we'll see you guys later.
Deuces.